You only have to speak to players who've played for Matt to tell you he's a caring guy. He really is. He looks after his people.
Have it in there, right? You've got to have it in there.
Yeah, I mean, Matt's done an amazing job and doesn't get the recognition I think he deserves for his years of not just dedication to the women's game, but how he's building Liverpool up to be formidable.
We're going to have good days, we're going to have bad days, OK? But all I want is you just to apply ourselves in the right way.
You could just see how much he loves the football club, how much he understands the players and gets the best out of them.
Matt's been unbelievable. He's been the difference really coming in. He's galvanised the squad.
They are my family, you know, so I'm so proud of them.
That was not only an extremely committed and successful manager, he was also a person of real integrity and warmth who will always be remembered with genuine fondness by everyone he worked with at the club.
Remembering Matt Beard, a man who impacted the lives of everyone he met, a talented football coach, a wonderful father, a brilliant person who sadly died at the age of just 47. A hugely respected and successful manager, Matt guided Liverpool to back-to-back historic league titles and was twice named WSL Manager of the Season. The tributes to Matt show with how much affection he was held by all that met him. In their statement, Liverpool Football Club spoke of him being a person of real integrity and warmth who will always be remembered with genuine fondness by everyone he worked with. Those words and tributes have been echoed across the football world. Understandably, Liverpool's game with Aston Villa has been postponed. At the games that do go ahead, there will be a minute's silence held at Chelsea, who he took to their first FA Cup final. And at Brighton, where West Ham remember a manager and a friend who also took them to Wembley on the pitch and off it helped shape the future of the club. The thoughts of everyone here at Sky, of course, go to his wife Debs, his family and his friends. Joining me in the studio today, Meg Finnegan and Rachel Coursey. Understandably, Rach, just shock at the news last night. And the reaction shows, I said it there, the warmth, the integrity across football.
Are going to kick into gear maybe after the next international break, before then, later? What do you think?
I think there's good signs because in most matches they've had great moments.
You can see just
I thought midweek was a really good performance overall.
From everyone
in the second half, but
in
today,
the women's game, he's touched
the more obvious thing was the fatigue from Wednesday night in the second half as the game wore on. You could see that. But still so many new players forming relationships.
I never played for him, but I've known him a long time. We always had a conversation. He spoke to everybody. He was part of the furniture of the women's game for as long as you can remember, from the start of the WSL, before the WSL was even in existence. He was... You just see from the tributes, really, how much he was loved. He was a great character. It's just excruciatingly sad.
Meg, those points about you didn't have to meet him to know him or to know stories of the joy that he brought to the game. I know you played Burnley in pre-season, and even then he was just showing that joyous side to him.
Yeah, so that was the last time that I got to speak to him, and similarly, like Rach said, I never got to play under him, but felt like I had that relationship with him. I feel like you knew him even though you didn't, and my last interaction with him was at that Burnley game pre-season, and he went over to Brian Sorensen, our manager, started giving a little bit of stick because Brian, about 3 years ago, forgot to shake his hand at the end of one of the derbies, and it was all light-hearted fun, but I think that just kind of epitomised him as a person. And I think that, again, like we've said in all these tributes, not only his success as a manager, but him as a person, just a really normal, down-to-earth guy that those people that I know that have played under him, they run through brick walls for him, and I think that speaks volumes.
Let's bring in Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, who joins us now from Chelsea. Courtney, we sat with Matt just a couple of months ago on the sofa here, and the minute he walked into a room, it lit up. I know it's a cliche, but that warmth came before him, didn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't. You know, you just think that, all right, darling, as soon as he enters the room, the big bear hugs that he gives you. And look, he was a wonderful man, and similar to, obviously, Meg and Rachel in terms of didn't play under him, but he loved that human connection. And in terms of the outpouring for players that didn't play under him, I think it's testament to Matt that he loved to talk. He loved that human connection. He was always there for an ear, for a sounding board. And I think that's so rare nowadays. And the way that he was just always the life and soul of a pitch. Obviously, in terms of at the side, he was very gregarious. He loved to shout and rant and rave and get in ears of referees. But, you know, as soon as that sort of 90 minutes is done and he switched off, he was such a kind-hearted person. And as I say, the testament, the fact that so many players that never played under him are coming out and saying what a loss this is to, obviously, football is amazing. And it doesn't obviously make it any less difficult for friends, for family. But the fact that we're now recognising him for everything that he's done. And I think we also forget as well, in terms of years gone by, the things that he's won, the successes and what he did in terms of laying the groundworks here at Chelsea, the successes at Liverpool, obviously out in America as well, and all across the pyramid, whether it be the WSL, WSL2 and in the National League as well. Everyone is hurting today.
Those successes, we can't overstate them. When you talk about Liverpool achieving those back-to-back titles as well, to go in there, to completely change it, to shape that team on and off the pitch.
He was just a man that loved his football, and he loved the people that were working with him and for him at the time. And he had a very typical style. You know, everyone knew what you were going to get when you played against a Matt Beard team. And he won things because he had a football philosophy. He loved the game. He was passionate about it. He gave his absolute all into it. But one of the biggest things, and this is back to the personal connection, the people under him, they wanted to buy into it. He found a way to bring different characters into a room and make them feel like they could thrive, make them feel on top of the world, to go and perform. And, you know, I think that's where we have to try and lean our memories into it, are these amazing stories, because he is at the heart of so many of these. And, you know, his football accolades will always be there and you know, should be celebrated, but a big part of that was also the character he was and the person he is.
We were hearing from Emma Hayes about how he shaped and influenced her, and that club where you're stood right now, we talk about Chelsea's current achievements, but they would be nowhere without Matt Beard and taking them to that first FA Cup final.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't happen without the foundation. I think I saw Casey Stoney put something up on social media about her asking him to come to Chelsea with little money. They hardly had the money to pay him, but he came because, again, for him, it's about that investment, about that passion, about that human nature in people. And that's the common theme with everything that I've seen today. It's about the person first, then the player. But, yeah, he's a giant of the women's game. And I think maybe people new to the WSL probably just don't realise quite the influence that Matt Beard has had on this league, on so many players. Everyone's feeling it today. It's not just Chelsea or Liverpool or any of the former clubs he's been at, because he's had an influence on so many players that have played in this league, and it's so difficult. It's excruciatingly sad, but like Rachel said, the moments today we should be remembering in terms of making us smile, the connection that he had with everyone. And like I say, it doesn't make it any easier. But you know, I spoke to Rick Passmore before the game as well, someone that me and Rachel know very well. And again, he was very sad, but also just wanting to remember Matt Beard and the influence that he's had on the game and the person that he was. And that's the big thing. You can always forget about certain situations and accolades, but you'll never forget how someone made you feel. And everyone will always say that Matt made them feel good.
We saw that overnight. Just some of the memories from teams in America as well. Of course, he went out there at a time when that wasn't really happening, you know, to move his whole family out there too. You can feel the sort of international impact he's had on players as well.
Yeah, of course. Like you say, it's not just in the WSL. And I think what was so special about him is that when he came into women's football was nowhere near what it is now. There was no money in it, and he did it purely for the love of the game, and he wanted his players, he genuinely cared about his players. And like you say, I think, like Court said, you know, talk about accolades, and of course, but he will truly be remembered for the person that he was. And yeah, it's so heartbreaking.
To hear that lad from South London out in America. I know you probably played against one of his teams out there.
I did, yeah. I remember when he was at Boston, and I'll never forget this. And this is probably for me one of the really nice memories that makes me smile was I just remember, I mean, you could hear him from anywhere. You know, you could have been half a mile away and you knew if Matt was at the game or not. And I just remember they've put a ball in, they've sort of whipped it across the face, and all you hear is him shout, "Hang it up, back stick." And there wasn't a single person that was American on the pitch in the stands that had a clue what that meant. But that was just one of his, he never changed, and that was a big part of that energy too. And to go to America is a huge decision, to move your family, that level of commitment. But he just loved the game. He loved it.
I said, Courtney, it's understandable that Liverpool's game is postponed today, but where you are now, I mean, Rick Passmore, Leicester, these are friends of Matt's. How incredibly difficult it must be for players, for coaches to step out there this afternoon.
Yeah, look, it's incredibly difficult because you've lost a friend, a mentor, obviously their family as well. They've lost a dad, a brother, an uncle, a husband. So you can't imagine the pain that people are going through. And I think sometimes they'll want to go out there, I think, some players and play for him and maybe have a little bit of a situation where they can switch off for 90 minutes. And I know you never really can, but look, everyone deals with grief in different ways and totally understand it. It's so raw for Liverpool. I mean, a lot of these players here might not have